As the holidays approach, are you feeling the weight of your wallet shrinking faster than the days on the calendar? Jim and Ryan are here to guide you through savvy strategies to spread cheer without spreading yourself too thin financially. Tune in to learn how to transform your holiday spending habits into a gift for your future self.
Wake up, it's time to rise. Talking money with sharp insight. Jim and Ryan here to guide. Mastering the money ride. Saving stacks and planning dreams. Living large by honest means. Tune in now for the schemes. Breaking down financial themes. Money mindset every day. Mastering
We're already starting off with the holiday cheer, Ryan. Anyways, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Money Mindset Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Jim, and joining me today is Rudolph, Ryan, the red-nosed Genoe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. This will be our Bah Humbug episode for everybody out there.
Oh, God, you didn't even warn me about that one.
Yeah, just making sure everybody knows that we're not trying to create any stress in anybody's lives, but to actually bring joy and hopefully some healthy spending throughout the holiday season this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so the title is Holiday Spending Secrets. Stay joyful and financially healthy this festive season. Now, remind me, Ryan, because we've done so many episodes. Did we record this last year as well?
Yes, we did the abbreviated version of it. So I think we're gonna expand a little bit on it and probably touch again repetitivity as part of the education process. So the more we repeat things, hopefully people will catch something that they didn't in our last episode. So,
right, okay. And there are going to be some visuals and slides today as well, which is nice. So for people who are watching, there will be some visuals for you to see. And if you would like a copy of the presentation, just let us know and we'd be more than happy to send it out to you. So I guess the first thing we can say, Ryan, is that a lot of people nowadays are quite stressed because of the holiday season. Not so much about the family gathering, but the finances. And it's been even more difficult over the last couple of years. So really what we're trying to do is provide some just insight into what you can do to kind of maybe soften some of that stress, maybe even in leading into next year's holiday season, right?
yeah. And I think the government thinks they're going to ease a little bit of that by removing some taxes this year, I think, starting December 14th or 15th. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they think. So I'm just going to do a bit of a switch up here because I'm getting a bunch of echo. So just bear with me. If you want to continue on talking till I get this going, take over, Ryan.
Yeah, so obviously, as we discuss every year and try to reflect on the year, especially coming up to the holiday season, Festivus for the rest of us, whatever you may celebrate, we're really wanting to make sure that people do a financial health check as they go through their holiday and prepare for the holiday season. Some of the things that people often forget about is, from the gift giving, who's on the nice list, who's on the naughty list. Also, maybe some of the things that people don't plan for, which we talked about last year too, which is some of that holiday festive of gatherings and dinners and food and things like that. And making sure that this is the best time to really actually talk about budgeting, right? That B word that we don't like to talk about, but this is one of those instances that we want to make sure that people set aside a short-term goal, that they're making sure that they're kind of trying to stay within that. And again, we'll share some things that we've come across that other clients have shared with us. From the blog from last year, some tips and tricks that other people, and we would encourage other people out there to add to the dialogue and what's helping you get through the holiday season and savings and budgeting and making sure that it's a great holiday season and you don't hit January with a bit of a holiday hangover. So,
yeah, holiday hangover, then looking at credit card statements because people do use their credit cards, right? And they become quite depressed. So why don't we get into the slides right now?
Okay.
So let's just give me a second here. Share my screen. Let's hope technology works for us. It should, because we just tested it out. So in this slide, what we're going to basically talk about the difference between how people tend to manage their finances compared to the behavioral cash flow strategy that we help our clients with. So this is your typical account system, right? You have one bank account, income or all the payroll, all the checks are going into that one account. And then everyone is from that account spending on their debts and their savings and their bills. And there's their unconscious spending as well.
Mhm.
And what we find with this method is very difficult to keep track of your expenses and what you've spent. Similar to my favorite Weight Watchers conversation, right? When you don't track the points, it's quite easy to kind of go over your allotted points. This isn't any different than that. So really, what we're trying to do is create somewhat of a hybrid point system, so you can kind of stay within those parameters to keep you on track. Does that make sense? And one of the things that we use, Ryan, is the Winton app, right? You want to talk about the Winton app a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's an app that we provide our clients that helps them understand and where their committed expenses are and where they're spendable. And I think that's one of the most important dialogues that we often have with clients is truly understanding what committed means and what are spendable, and that you can fit everything in and understand where you can reduce some of your committed expenses to make sure that they're on track. And those are the things that we don't really think about. They're regular. We could ask you, what's your mortgage payment, what's your rent payment, and people will tell us right away what those numbers are. That's the boring stuff. It's the spendable ones, and that's where the Winton app comes into play to help people kind of keep track, especially when you're trying to stay on a budget, but also seeing overall what your cash flow is. So it's your income coming in versus what's the spendable and committed. And the spendable ones are the ones that often get out of control. That people, when we ask you how much do you spend, dinner, going out for dinners last month, it's kind of a hum and haw, and usually they're under projecting what actually is happening. So it's important to use tools like the Winton app to help people really understand their finances, and it allows us to provide better advice for clients. So
Right, and that's a program that's offered as part of the behavioral cash flow coaching package, right?
yeah.
Alrighty, so now, for whatever reason, my keyboard's not working. Now, this is kind of where the adjustment comes into play, right? So we move them from having a single bank account where all the money goes in and all the money comes out of. And what we try to encourage people to do is to have two bank accounts. One where all the money comes in, and then from that account, your basically your fixed expenses are coming out of that. So things like your mortgage payment, and again, to your point, Ryan, whatever you know is pretty much the same every single month, right? And then what we do is we want to move the spendable into a separate bank account. So those are for things like your groceries and your gas and whatever else. Those are the variable expenses. And the reason why we want to encourage people to use this platform and this strategy, it kind of mimics a bit of, I've talked about this in the 80s and the 90s, Ryan, where, we were teenagers and we would get our $100 for the week. That would be on Sunday. And that was going to get us through for the week. It was going to be for the people who smoked, their smokes, for the coffee, for lunches at work. By Friday night, if you're going out with the friends, to go with the friends. And if you ran out of that money by Wednesday, you weren't going anywhere on the weekend. If you had a little extra, you can have a little bit more fun. But really, it's how it kept people on track because they knew exactly what they had to spend for the week. Where because of the tap society that we're in now with credit cards and debit cards, it's difficult to really keep track of that spending in the same way. So by having the designated spendable account, it does keep you on track with your spending because that's all you have for the week. And once you go through it, you're going to have to wait to replenishment for the following week, correct?
Absolutely. And it's something I implemented a few years back, especially during the holiday season, is made myself a budget and quite literally took cash out, put in an envelope, and this is the strategy I do. I know, Jim, you're very electronic and want to keep everything within that, but I'm old school and I used it for myself as a way to also teach my son when we're out spending for the holidays what it is that we're trying to budget for, and making sure that we have a plan of attack before And that was one of the feedbacks that I know a lot of people shared last year, is having a written plan of attack as to what you were specifically shopping for. I know people use it for grocery lists often, so they don't get carried away. So there's a tip already I've given away. So
And you got to admit, though, on a side note, like some of the technology tools I showed you today, that was pretty cool, though.
it was, yes.
So, as we mentioned, we want to keep it separate, right? Your spendable accounts, and also you can have a separate another account if you want, which is your holiday account, right? So again,
Absolutely.
over the year, if you want to kind of build that up, and you know that that's your budget, and that's your budget for food and entertainment for the holidays and gifts and whatever else, you can build that up and just debit out from that account. So you don't necessarily need to use your credit card, use a debit card. That way you can kind of keep your running total as well.
Yeah.
Or if you use a credit card, make sure that you stay within, again, if you're paying that credit card from that account that you've accumulated cash in, it's a method of keeping track of where you're spending and how much you have to spend for the season, right?
And the keeping track piece is important, especially when it comes year over year, right? What are you spending on gifts? And did you go over budget last year? Can you come under budget? Things that you purchased, and just reviewing that process with your family and with your kids, especially, is what gifts got used, what didn't get used. I think it's a good kind of goal for parents, especially, as to what kind of activities did we get last year that really went by the wayside, and making sure that we're perhaps a little bit more focused on what and how we purchase this year. So,
Yep. Alrighty. Well, this is an easy one. Set a limit, right? So this is quite simple. If your limit is $1,200, then start off in January putting $100 a month aside, right? Or $50 every 2 weeks if you'd like. But really, you have to determine what that limit is, and that's something that you should set out to have an understanding. This is how much I want to spend for food. This is how much I want to spend for gifts. This is what I want to spend for drinks, whatever else, right? But you need to put
yep.
a limit in place.
Yeah, and we set a lot of clients up with success starting from the beginning of the year, right? And by creating a committed expense that's specific to this about the holidays or special events that happen throughout the year, whether it's, that you're a marathon runner and you want to make sure that you're doing marathons, or that it's holiday spending, you have the ability to create these committed expenses. That way you're dedicating that money towards your goals, and that you're reaching those goals without feeling the heartache and the Visa bill or MasterCard bill at the end of the year. So,
and remember your bigger goals, right? And it's one of the reasons why you set that budget or that limit. It's similar to a recent conversation I had with my daughter, not financially based, but she's year 2 of university. She's working, going to school. She's a little bit overwhelmed and stressed. And the one thing that I remind her about is, remember what you're doing this for. You want to go to med school. That's your ultimate goal. You want to graduate as a medical doctor. That's why you're making the sacrifices today, so you can reach that goal. Don't forget about that. It's the same thing when it comes to finances, right? Is remember what your long-term goal, and the long-term could be the retirement piece. It could be a big once-in-a-lifetime vacation, whatever it is, right? But just remember, when you're setting these goals for other reasons, or for, again, for holiday spending as the example, you're doing it because there's potentially a bigger goal you want to achieve over the next little bit. And that's the reason why you're doing this.
You bang on the head, and we're agreeing. As it is the holiday season, we have to agree more often, right? No, but yeah, it's true. This is the time to teach our kids and remind ourselves, about the values that we have, the choices that we make, and help ourselves prepare for the future. And again, the holidays offers this a great opportunity for us to have these conversations as family comes together, and have often the conversation that we've been putting off month over month, possibly over year or decade, to have these conversations and build a better understanding, and also responsibility for each other as a family, as we try to reach these goals, right? So
All right. So what is next here? Manage expectations. This is a good one too, right? And we've talked to clients who've said, well, my kid expects all these things and they're getting themselves into debt to make their kids happy. We all want to make our kids happy, but it's also creating a bit of a hole for the family financially. So I think you need to set those expectations. Now, it's hard with some kids because some kids actually do believe in Santa. So they don't think that there's a price tag right on the gift. They think Santa's bringing it for them. But even with your own family and friends, if you're exchanging gifts, in my family, what we've done is, this whole managing expectations is once a niece or nephew reach the age of 18, they're no longer getting a gift from everybody. They're part of the Secret Santa Club, which is once you're an adult, you're in the Secret Santa Club. And with that, we've set out a budget of $50, and we all pick a name out of the hat, and that's what we do. Now, some might go a little bit over, some a little bit under, right? But at least we know that we're staying within this budget, and it's for the adults in the family, right? So I think that's very important, is to manage expectations and have the conversation with family, especially if you are struggling financially, right?
yeah, especially as families get bigger, and making sure that, again, the same goes to the dialogue that needs to happen before, and to make sure that expectations are being set along the way. So yeah.
Use your points. Carol's actually doing this year, and she did it last year as well, but she loves her PC points.
Yep.
And it's so cute because she'll come home, she's like, yeah, you can, I've got all these points because I did this and I did that, and this is what they kind of translate to and whatever else. And I thought at first it was like a game, which is almost like a game, a points game that she's playing. But she said to me, she's like, hey, I'm accumulating a whole bunch of this because I don't know if she's accumulated like close to $500 in point value. And she's like, you know what? I can get hors d'oeuvres, I can get drinks, I can get snacks. Like, those are things that we can get when we're entertaining everybody this year. And she's like, why not? We're building the points, might as well use or spend them, right? So
Yep.
if you have a good points card, take advantage of them. Aeroplan, there's a whole bunch of them that you can use to buy gifts from, redeem points for gifts. Any other ideas, Ryan?
But I can't think of, gift cards and points. Those are the big things. Like gift cards, I think I mentioned this last year. I think something like now it's around 25%. Gift cards are being used more often. So I believe the numbers come down, but about 20 to 25% of gift cards are not being used or redeemed. So dig through your closet, your purse, your pockets, look for those things. You can buy secondhand, things like that, to make sure that they're reducing the cost that's going to be potentially on you, and making sure that you're not finding anything that's going to potentially expire. Because that's hard to see $100 get flushed down the toilet without ever being able to use it. So it can help a lot of people, and donating your points too can help a lot of people too. So
Give back instead. This is actually something that Carol and I discussed. We discussed it last year. We didn't have enough time to kind of shift the way we do things. So we had the conversation earlier this year, and I just said to her, and she agreed with me, whenever we want something and we're able to get it for ourselves, but there's so many families out there who are struggling financially, kids who are going to do without food, do without celebrating the holidays, Christmas in particular. But it's not just the kids, it's also the parents who feel that guilt and that stress because they're not able to potentially provide that happiness, that joy for the one day, right? So we made it a conscious decision this year. I'll just give an example of what we're doing. The local church, they are sponsoring a shelter for single parents with kids. And we're going to be, whatever we were going to spend on each other, we're actually now donating that to the shelter, so that way they can get food and clothing and gifts for the parent and the children. And the other thing that we're doing is there's a charity near us. It's a local family who's doing it, but they actually bring gifts to seniors' homes. Many of them are without family. They don't have friends. They celebrate, well, they don't celebrate. They spend the holidays by themselves without a gift, right? So we put together a couple of packages, one for male, one for female, and we've donated. And if there's a shortfall, we'll probably add a couple more packages. But I got to tell you, I'm reaching a point now, an age where it's just like getting a gift isn't important. Like the gift for me is to see someone else who's happy, to relieve some of that stress. So I'm encouraging other people, if you're able to if you're able to do the same, to bring joy to somebody else. That's the greatest gift anyone can receive. Anything else you want to add to that, Ryan?
Well, again, there's lots of great organizations to reach out there and find somewhere to be able to give back, and it is one of the best gifts of all. Again, we've talked about budgeting, and especially when I'm teaching our kids, 70-20-10 rule. 70% young, being able to either save or potentially spend, depending on how you want to do it as a parent, but leaving that 10% or 20% for giving back. And this is a great opportunity to find those. I know sock buying, lots of things that Walker and I have done in the past, and we're starting to organize right now. And you just mentioned one. There's lots of people in nursing homes and things like that don't have family that come, and there's a great organization here that does stocking gifts and fills it up with some great ideas. So lots of ideas. And again, same thing. This is a community conversation. What other organizations are you hearing about that people can make a choice to? And, if you're doing a family gathering, instead of doing, they call it the white elephant or like gift giving, instead of the $50, you bundle the $50 together, and perhaps the family as a whole finds a great organization or a couple organizations that they can help support through the holiday season. So,
yeah, and ours, just as I remember, it's a women's shelter, local women's shelter that we're contributing to, and part of it is from my own personal experience with growing up, and felt that was an important organization. So here's what we talked about. Start saving for next year, right? Like if you don't want to get hit with that big, huge financial burden, looking at a credit card balance, it's going to make you depressed in January and stressed out. You don't want to start the new year all stressed, right? Mm-hmm. So start in January. Start putting some money aside, whatever it might be. Hey, the government's looking to give us some money as well. For those of us that receive some, I don't think I will be, but for those that do, use that. Apply that towards potentially the holidays for next year. Any other ideas, Ryan?
Well, again, we talked about it in the beginning, which is really tracking your type of expenses. Find and plan early, shop the sales, discount. I know. Reach out to Carol, talk to her. She's great at finding deals, and tracking it. Again, it's important to track the spending that you've done, and also the types of gifts that you've purchased for people. That way, you know that you're buying the right gift for somebody. I find probably the hardest part about the holiday season is finding the right gift for somebody. So if you plan in your head to always be looking kind of throughout the year. I always find myself buying stuff come June, little bits at a time that I know are kind of timeless, that I don't have to worry about, my son or anybody growing out of or it losing interest or anything like that. So I skip away from all the trendy ideas. So, but really just being proactive about the planning that takes place can really help, especially this time of year. Starting around Black Friday time or Thanksgiving time, right up until now, and just make sure that all these things are great tools to help reduce stress. And that's part of why we're doing this is about educating or edumacating people to make sure that they understand that we can help people in many different ways.
I'm just going to correct one thing that you said, though. You had said the hardest thing is trying to find the perfect gift for someone.
Yeah.
The hardest part is finding that perfect gift and forgetting where you put it. And I'm just looking at the last point where it says here, if you shop throughout the year, keep notes in your phone and photos of everything you buy ahead, including where you hid it. That's probably
totally
the
did
most
that last year.
valuable, the most valuable advice that we can give anybody,
Yeah.
right?
I've
Is yeah,
I've totally
record
put
where you
away.
put it.
Yeah, I've totally put away a gift and totally forgot about it. And thankfully, because I buy timelessly, I repurposed it for the following Christmas. Big win for me. So yes, great idea. Thank you, Jim.
Oh no, thank Cashflow Solutions for that one. So this is really what we encourage people to do. We do have a program, a cash flow program that we do offer for coaching purposes, and part of that is the financial capability program. So let's break down really the two options available if you decide that you want to go through this, and this could be a gift to yourself starting for next year. So there's the behavioral cash flow plan, right? So that's just the plan itself where we'll collect the cash flow data and we will present a plan. And if we're able to improve on what you're doing, we will share that with you and provide you a written cash flow plan as well. And Ryan, remind me, I think that's $500 for the year, right?
Yep.
For that plan. Option two is to actually go through the whole coaching program. So there's 12 modules. And what we do is we schedule a 1 hour or a 45-minute coaching session each month over the next 12 months. And we will schedule an hour with you, but the 45 minutes is really to go through each module. So month one, we go through module one and so on and so forth. And that extra 15 minutes just gives us any final thoughts, any questions that you might have. That's $100 per month if you want to go through the program. And that also includes the cash flow plan as well, right? So you basically get the entire package with the program itself. Did I forget anything, Ryan? Did I forget anything on that?
No, I think you got everything. And again,
You got it
it's
all?
a
All right.
great tool to make sure that, yeah.
All right. Well, let me stop sharing here. Did we miss anything? I'm just kind of looking through everything. We went through the Winton app. We have clients who are using the Winton app and they enjoy it. They appreciate it. That's been very helpful. But yeah, I think the bottom line is here are some tips for you. If you really want to dig deeper into what you can do to put you in a better spot financially next year, or if you just have never gone through a cash flow plan and would like to go through one, that's where I encourage you to look at the tvhfinancial.ca website. That's where you actually find more information on the behavioral cash flow program. You can sign up there as well for any of the two options that are available. Ryan, have I forgotten anything? Is there anything else that we want to add?
No, again, often people are chasing, returns and stuff like that, but they don't really understand the flow that's happening with their cash, what's going in, what's coming in, what's going out. And that's the important. And there's such a huge educational portion of this. And then obviously, as you said, the coaching that happens monthly to make sure that we're instilling new habits, new behaviors, not only with you, but family members too. We find a lot of the clients that we talk to are either doing this with their family members, doing it with partners. That's a big one. Making sure that that everybody's on the same page and that they're communicating in a way that that helps really all the relationships in their family. And a lot of educators that are working with us and making sure that that they're passing on to their kids or their students, whatever it may be. So.
Great. And next week, I believe we have another session. We're going to be talking about index investments. I think we're going to be focusing on the S&P 500 specifically. And just as a bit of a hint, why investing in the S&P 500 was a bad thing from year 2000 to 2010 and why you should be considering managed portfolios. So if you haven't figured that out, we're going to also have special guest portfolio manager TVH Wealth and Raintree Wealth Management, Denis Bizon. Finally, look out for us on all the social media platforms. Share, like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. And I think another one is in the books, Ryan.
It is. And we got lots lined up after that one too. So
absolutely,
all the way to the holiday season.
Yeah. So everyone, enjoy. And again, please reach out to us if you have any questions in regards to this topic that we discussed today. Ryan, thanks again. Have a good
Jim.
evening. Take care.
You too.
Why is it me? Why am I a guy? I still buy low, still sell high.